Good afternoon.
Baby, don't pass people just so. When you into Beko, don't play proudy. Tell them howdy. I say, what's the reason, mommy? Is then she tell me, she say, all I we is one family. 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 Tight, rock right, jump, then we run good people. Jump tight, rock tight.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. Welcome to a virtual panel discussion exploring the power of healing through art. Foreign base,
We come
all are we are one.
together, one another. Nothing could separate we from sins in slavery. They say, all are we one family.
One family.
All are we one family. All are we one family. All are we one family.
Tell a friend, share the link. We got some interesting topics tonight. We got the experts on. Oh yeah.
Everybody helping, no money ain't passing. It's tradition on the island. Nowhere else that I know is like Sweet Tobago. They say, all are we one family.
We're gonna be talking about the immigration struggles. The immigrant struggles
All are we one family.
right here in the USA.
All are we one family. Oh, that tumble. Oh, that tumble. Oh, that tumble.
We're gonna be talking about sexual identity and orientation.
Right. Then we jump to
Gather the kids. We're gonna be talking about them, you know? All about childhood trauma
we walking.
and mental health issues.
So we holding on, going from dusk to dawn, rubbing shoulder, all together, Upa Gangang Tanti.
And if only I could remember this last one.
All are we one family,
Oh, yeah. Dementia.
family,
Aging parents.
one family,
We're gonna learn how to deal with that, yeah?
family.
Yeah.
Oh God, rock so, jump so, oh yes, rock me, jump so, rock so.
Invite your friends. Welcome, Be Live. Matricia, Julian, Jillian, Teresa. Remember, all of we are one family. Abina, welcome. All are we are one.
Tell me, since a baby, don't pass people just so. When you into Beko, don't play proudy. Tell them howdy. I say, what's the reason, mommy? Is then she tell me, she say, all are we one family.
Let's explore the power of healing through art with our panel today.
One family. All are we one family. Tight,
The play,
right,
All Are We Are One,
then we run.
written by Francesca Sam. We're going to be touching on some of those topics today. Welcome, Tanya. Welcome, Marilyn.
Old time people will know how we come to be so bound together, one another. Nothing could separate me from sin.
We're going to get going in about 3 minutes.
One family,
Invite your friends.
all of we one family.
We're going to be discussing
One,
topics that affects us all, yeah?
all of we one family.
The immigrant struggles, sexual identity and orientation, childhood trauma, and mental health issues.
Then we come to people.
And let's not forget the parents, our aging parents, some of which dementia can affect. We're going to talk about that as well.
Everybody helping, no money ain't passing. It's tradition on the island. Nowhere else that I know is like sweet Tobago. They say, all of we one family. It's true. All of we one family. It's true. All of we one family. All of we one family. Oh, that people. Oh, that bumble. Oh, that tumble. Let me take together. Down tight. Round tight. Move tight. Let me jump to the go. When we walking, are we loving? It's so we holding on, going from dusk to dawn, rubbing shoulder, all together. Upa gangang tanti, mak me picnic. They say, all are we one family. 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 Oh God, rock so, jump so. Oh yes, rock me, jump so.
Once again, welcome to this panel today. Welcome to all of our panelists. I'm going to turn it over to my girl, Sherilyn. Welcome.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you for facilitating this discussion here today. Good afternoon, everyone. It's a wonderful Sunday afternoon here in Brooklyn. Hopefully, wherever you are locked on, it's wonderful in your area. I want to thank all of you for joining us today for this panel discussion that will explore healing through the arts, which will take us on a deeper dive into the work of our very own Vincentian playwright, Francesca Sam, who is here with us, and she's joined by Pastor Anika Collins, social worker Sonia Morris, and psychologist Dr. Vanessa Tony Bob. My name is Sherilyn Mason, chair of the SVG Diaspora Committee of New York, and I will serve as your moderator for the panel today. So today's discussion is a collaboration of the SVG Diaspora Committee, Chatouillet Productions, Inc., and Sanssouci Studios. And we're so pleased that you have joined us. And so today, through the lens of the stage play Foreign Based, we will take a look at some of the challenges facing our Vincentian migrant community. So let's listen to the play's introduction. Tom?
Ladies and gentlemen, Foreign Based is a play about one of the most fundamentally stirring human experiences, immigration. Art exists to help us process the events that shape our lives, and the migrant experience touches every aspect of life and makes great theater. From the dreams, hopes, and fears of moving one's whole life to another country, to the obstacles and opportunities. The play Foreign Based offers insight into culture, identity, relationships, and family ties, and explores each of these subjects with passion, eloquence, and great relatability. Set in a family home in Brooklyn, New York in the year 2023, we present to you Foreign Based, written and directed by Francesca Sam.
Fran, this is you, right? This is your recent theatrical play, Foreign Base, which was staged this past summer at the Friends of Crown Heights for 2 beautiful days. It was a weekend production. And it really, today, we hope that, you know, we have a stimulating discussion on the themes that were raised in this play. So the way, just to set up what will happen today, we will show some clips from the play, and then we'll delve into the themes and the sensitive issues that are raised in those clips as they affect our immigrant communities, especially as some of these issues plague our Vincentian community. So today we will delve into the topics with a view of just scratching the surface, because we only have 90 minutes today, but it is an opportunity for us to begin to look at how the arts can help us to start the process of healing through some of these issues and traumas that we may have experienced, and how do we then move from the pain to wellness. So before we get into the meat of discussion, I want to invite the panelists each to introduce themselves and to greet our audience. And then Fran, I will start with you, trying to get some insight into your motivation for writing this very stirring play, Foreign Base. So I will invite the panelists to introduce themselves. Dr. Bob, we can start with you.
Good afternoon. My name is Vanessa Tony Bob. I am the daughter of Joelle Tony and Joyce Tony, who are both from St. Vincent. Joelle Tony's from Calliaqua, and Joyce Tony is from Shumaka. And as far as immigration, so I would be a second-generation immigrant from a second generation from an immigrant family. I am a child and adolescent psychiatrist, so I'm boarded in child, adolescent, and adult. Right now I reside in Albany, well, a suburb of Albany, upstate New York, but I'm currently with my parents here in Brooklyn, New York.
Thank you, thank you. Pastor Anika?
Hi, everyone. I'm not sure if you're able to hear me.
We're hearing you.
Are you hearing me? Okay,
Yes,
good.
we are.
So I am Pastor Anika, right? So I am a pastor, I'm an inpatient a psychiatric social worker, and a psychotherapist. I am from Jamaica, and I am here to just share with you all about our mental health and getting to be better.
Thank you so much. We're happy that you've joined us. And last but not least, in any ways, our social worker, Ms. Sonia Morris, can you introduce yourself?
Unmute.
Sonia?
Hi, I'm sorry. Good afternoon. My name is Sonia Morris, and I'm from the island of St. Vincent. I have been working in the social work field for 36 years. I have a master's in family counseling and marriage, and also I have worked in the domestic violence for 15 years, where I have worked with children and families that have been affected also from this same scenario.
Thank you very much. Audience, as you can see, we have a very powerful panel that will join our featured artist, our creative mind, Francesca Sam. Fran, before we jump into the themes and get all of this wisdom from our panelists, let's talk about you and your process. Tell us a bit about who you are as a creative, and then I'll delve a little deeper to find out a bit more about your creative process in terms of this play, Foreign Base. So tell us a bit about who you are. Who is Francesca Sam?
Okay, so good afternoon, everybody. And just first, before I go to answer your question, thank you, Sherilyn, for reaching out to me after the staging of this play, to make something like this happen. So I'm gonna thank you right off the bat. Thank you, Sanssouci Studios, for taking your afternoon and being here with us. And to everyone on the panel, thank you as well for being part of this afternoon's discussion. Francesca, started out in life as Dolores Ashton. From a very early age, I was inclined to write. I think I did it to kind of escape. It was my escape in the home. I come from a big home, a home that, we had our struggles. And I feel like I always needed, to be in a world, to create a world of my own. And so from a very early age, I started writing poems and songs. And, that's where that started for me. I don't know if and it continued. It continued through school, being part of a drama group, in school, going on stage, performing, becoming a member of, well, actually a founding member of High Room Theatre, and seeing the power of the art as we traveled, through and through St. Vincent and the Grenadines, because we did perform in Bequia, we performed in Union Island and so forth. And we did island tours and so forth. And I saw the power of what we did. Some of it might have come across funny to people, but I saw that we were able to put our written messages out and to effect change in people. So that is who I feel as a writer. That is the purpose of it, to push a message out there that would bring some sort of healing, something people could relate to. And that's how I do it in my writings.
Thank you. So Fran, I know after the production in May, I called you immediately and I said, this is powerful. There are a lot of themes that were raised and I said, we have to find a way to do this. So I'm just so happy that this has come to fruition. But let's take a step back and tell us, how did you come about writing this play? What was the motivation? What led you to write this particular play at this time?
Okay. So the name of the play is Foreign Based, which looks at an immigrant family. I would be biased and say a Vincentian family, but it could very well be any family. It could be another Caribbean territories family, or it could be European, it could be Asian. It's the immigrant's experience. How did I come about writing it? I've been in the United States. From the time I came, I felt the pain. That's the other thing. In my writings, I like to present the current affairs, matters that we could actually relate to. Something that we can relate to when we present it, when it's presented on stage. Those who are affected by what's written, it could bring a healing to them. It could bring awareness to others and so forth. I saw a lot of pain in this side of New York that we are in, which is Brooklyn, New York. I saw a lot of pain. I saw a lot of misunderstanding each other. I saw us as immigrants a lot of times being on the outside of things, not understanding our community, not understanding how we fit in. I saw from experience, personal and otherwise, I saw the competition among siblings. I mean, I have friends, who have as Jamaicans, I believe, term it the barrel children. I saw and know people who go through so much of what is in the play. And we could push things aside or we could bring them to the fore, using the creative art as that tool. That's my motivation. My motivation was to put something on stage with a message that was relatable, that could bring healing by creating the awareness. Sometimes the uncomfortable things are the things that we put a Band-Aid on. But those are the things, in order for us to heal, we got to expose sometimes the broken skin. in order to delve deeper into what is affecting us as a society, what is affecting me, what happened to me, Francesca, why maybe I can't relate, you know, I can't be all that I'm meant to be. Sometimes it's because of one of those sub-themes in the play. Things happen to us and we didn't get the help and so forth. So through this play, I hope that people could do introspection. We all could look at some aspect of our lives, maybe something that happened to us or something that we allowed to happen to somebody else. And we could also begin our healing through the arts. That is it.
Thank you. You know, a lot of Vincentian plays tend to be comedy. And, you know, the audience oftentimes expects to have a punchline in every, you know, scene of the play. Your play, there were punchlines, of course, there were some elements of comedy, but truly it was a more serious play that dealt with some very heavy issues. And personally, you know, as I had shared with you, I was in tears when the scene with the mother and the whole issue of dementia was raised, because I am experiencing that, my family is experiencing that firsthand. And so it really resonated with me. And I'm hoping that others who did not have the opportunity to see this play will have other opportunities to see it. But right now we're going to delve into some clips. And the first clip that we're going to look at looks at the whole issue of dementia and aging. And so Alan, if you can play us that first clip.
Who the hell are you? It's me. Get out of my house. Get out of my house now. Mom, my ass. Chill, it's me. Me who? It's me, Angie. Angie? I don't know the damn Angie. Angie who? This is a mess. Listen. Betty, I just tell Angie don't go in there now. Betty, you have to go and rescue Mom. Betty! Betty! Yes, Mommy. Come help me, come. Mom.
Yes.
Don't touch me. I said don't touch me. Mom, it's me. No, chill. It's me. Sweet boy George. George Williams. Mom, it's me. Actually, she keeps calling me Sweet boy George. You fool me once, you can't fool me twice. Who is George? Oh. I said, don't touch me. All the policemen are liars. Liars! That's true. You left me with a bastard in my belly. But for a good man. Richard, marry me. And here I am. The bastard. Just great. Just great. I did fully family them but I still turned back and freed them when I came away. You come take my little Princess Wanda from me now. I wonder. Hide. Mom. Mom, it's me, Rhonda. Me? Rhonda? You couldn't be my child. But Mom, it's me. Don't touch me. Mom, it's Rhonda. Mom, she a bleach, Rhonda.
You see, Auntie, you tell me to love myself, Leisha.
But me don't recognize she. Oh my God, Mom, it's me. How am I too son? You're pale. Like you're sick. Oh, it's me, Mom. Mom, stop bleach so she go recognize you. Betty? Yes, Mommy? Did you buy the grocery? Yes, Mommy, I buy the grocery. This house. My sweet husband. It looks like I need to have father. My sweet husband. If my own mother had loved me, would she forget me? Don't move all my stuff around. You don't move my stuff around this house. Don't move anything. Just, oh, my sweet husband. I have to make dinner for him. Mommy, Daddy, on top. Let alone! Let me kill him? Mom. Miss Rhonda and Angie. And baby Ashley.
No! But I'm...
That's not a judge.
Yeah.
This is exactly why I stay with you. I don't know what to do. But that's I told you not to bring no stranger to this house. Why is it so hard? Mommy, me not tell you Rhonda and Angie and Ashley today. Get out! Get out of my blasted house! This is how they get to me. I don't want to get out of my house. Angie, listen, Mom, my ass. Get out of my house now. You bring all these blasted hoodlum in my house, moving all my stuff around. Come on, get. Sit, calm down, honey, calm down. Be careful. That's all I need. Calm down. Mommy, sit. Mommy, we have some vitamins here for you. Vitamin. Open the thing in here. And I even know how to open the damn thing here. That is vitamin? In a pills bottle? Vitamin is coming in pills bottle, I don't want it. Every day is pills. Vitamins to make you strong. It's okay, mommy.
Lay down, Mom.
Strangers to my house. I don't want strangers in my house. Yes.
Oh, y'all can come back. She's asleep.
Betty? I can't deal with this. I can't. And neither should any one of us. I'm putting Mom in a nursing home.
No, you're not. No. If it's one thing you're not gonna do is touch my grandmother. Okay? She taught me everything I know. Do not.
But she needs help.
And you don't?
All of you in here needs help.
Yo, my God. You need the most help. Mom stood up for me when Dad and his friends called me all type of names, yo. Yo, she put them in their place. Yo, I'm living my truth, and this is the truth that Mom would have loved me to where she was alright. How dare you talk about putting her away, yo?
I am, and I will, because I am in charge here. God, oh my God. Maybe tell Mommy to put me name on the papers, and she will listen. No. She ready to throw me away. She didn't put your name on the papers because she knows you're incompetent and...
So yes, so that was our first clip that looks at, dementia and aging parents. And there's a lot in there. For me personally, when I had viewed the play, that really resonated because I had visited my mom last year in October. And for the very first time, I had visited her and she didn't know who I was. And that was really very difficult to deal with. It subsequently led me to therapy to be able to help to process some of those emotions that I certainly had and feelings that came to the fore, and so I want to ask the panel, based on what you just saw in that clip, that addresses some of the issues and emotions that come with caring for aging parents, and particularly those with dementia. What stands out for you, and what really resonates there for you from your professional experience? Any of the panelists?
Okay, I'll start. Not so much with the emotional part, but just some of the biological of what is dementia, and really thinking about what just the meaning of that. So we think about our bodies, there's all kinds of organs in them. So you got a heart, and people could have heart disease or their vessels. You could have hypertension. Diabetes affects your pancreas, and there's different things with insulin. And then you've got brain-based diseases or brain-based conditions. So as far as dementia, it's really a condition that affects the brain that will end up affecting the way that people think. So how they remember, what their thoughts are, and we talk about things like cognition, what they know of themselves, how they interpret the world. So there are different types of dementia. One of the main or the most common types that we often know about is Alzheimer's dementia, and folks I know my own grandmother who did have dementia. She used to call it old timers. Um, so Alzheimer's is one main type, and there's a lot of scientists that are studying it that look at um, different plaques that are happening and trying to understand what's going on there. There's other types called Pick's dementia, Lewy body dementia, but another very important type is vascular dementia. So what that is that and I bring up vascular dementia because this is something that's preventable, and that we can do that now. So as people get older, and some of you might have heard the term double dementias. So where someone would have Alzheimer's and they're getting forgetful, and with Alzheimer's, they have trouble more with the short term in the initial, and then but their long-term memory tends to stay the same. And with vascular dementia, it happens more in a stepwise level where they'll be okay, and then there's a big step where they're not able to remember and do a lot of the things. But once again, with vascular dementia, there's these blood vessels that run through your brain. Folks who have diabetes and high blood pressure, that can cause basically problems in those vessels, which will then end up giving problems feeding the brain. So just, I guess, general advice is really watch, if you have your diabetes, try to have that managed. Also, watching the blood pressure, because if there is that underlying or genetic Alzheimer's dementia, by reducing or minimizing the vascular part, it might actually end up a little bit better. But just other things that I noticed about the film, not about the play, and for us, a film at this point, a lot of real world things. So just what upset the grandmother in the play, where somebody moved their things. And that is really a key indicator, or something that you'll find, is that folks, if they have their house organized a certain way, because of that long-term memory that's intact, they'll be able to know where it is. There's certain things that are kind of rote and memorized. So when things are out of place, there could be a lot of confusion. And also, as far as there's various stages. So in the beginning, there'll be a little bit of forgetting and things like that. But as it progresses, when folks start forgetting their own children, or even when it really gets very bad, they can even sometimes forget who they are themselves. So those are just some highlights. This whole talk we could do on each of these sections, but those were just some of the things that resonated for me.
Thank you so much for sharing that biological aspect. That's really very important, in terms of just framing what this disease and the nature of the disease is. So Sonia, Reverend Pastor Annika, and if you want to jump in.
What I noticed in this scene, that the family function together, even though they may have disagreement, it is a family that is knitted together. They're there in the support. So it's a family that I can see so much, good thing come out of this in building them, even though they are dysfunctional, they are together in certain things that are going to strengthen the family.
And I think that is really important, because people often think about the person who is ill, but the folks who are taking care of the person that's ill, the caregivers, they are also experiencing that disease as well. And they need as much support just as the person that is ill. So I think that is really a critical point that you raise with, with regards to a family functioning and moving in the same direction.
Yes.
Right. And just to piggyback on that too, because that's what jumped out at me when the daughter said, if mommy truly loved me, then she would remember me. And it's important to understand that it's an illness and no one is to be blamed. It happens, and because the person doesn't remember you doesn't mean that, so for the families who are experiencing this and going through this at a time, doesn't mean that the person has doesn't love you. It's just an illness that has taken over their minds and they have no control over it. So it's important. And then I really enjoyed this play because it showed so many aspects and facets to what the person who is going through it, the people who are taking care of the person who is going through it. Because one of the things I realized was when the older daughter came in and she said, this place is always dirty or always untidy, it helps for the person with dementia to have something familiar in the sense of this is how she's used to it, this is what she wants, and it helps to keep them calm or just help to deal with the issue at hand.
Fran, any thoughts here?
I think the panel have handled it. I mean, I'm looking at the clip, and I'm a little emotional, I guess, because you know when you do something like this, when you bring it to the stage, and then you hear that it's a real life experience for somebody else, like Sherilyn, you shared that you're now in therapy. Because your own mother didn't recognize you. It just underlines, the need to do things like this. And so I feel like the panel answered here. I had a grandmother and she didn't experience this until she was like 96 years old. But currently I do have friends. I do have a close friend who is dealing with this right now. And her mother is somebody I knew growing up. So even talking about it right now, it's kind of emotional because, just the dangers of what that person with dementia is exposed to, just the worrying, the heavy load upon the children's head to think about the well-being of their family member. Also, this dementia, a reason for even writing it in, it's because right now in Brooklyn, I mean, I believe every one of us on this platform could say we know somebody who have somebody who walked away. Because recently there seems to be a hike, Dr. Bob, with this in Brooklyn here, and even, well, we know it's growing as well in St. Vincent. So we could all relate now to it, that's my take on even seeing it again from the outside.
Yeah, and one of the things that I'm really so happy, I just came back from St. Vincent. I had the opportunity to meet with the president of what is now a new SVG Alzheimer's and Dementia Association. And so because there has been an increase in prevalence and the need for awareness, some professionals came together, and that organization is being led by ex-nurse Sylvia Gould. And they are, really working really hard to begin to bring some awareness to the issues. And I know in November of this year, they'll be doing some workshops and so on, and some awareness raising. So I want to encourage everyone on St. Vincent and the Grenadines and everyone in the diaspora who is interested in this issue, who has been affected by this issue personally, who knows somebody that's been affected by this, to really support the work that's being done there. I believe that there's going to be some research that's going to be done looking at the prevalence in St. Vincent. So I'm really happy about that development, because we know here in North America, we have the Alzheimer's Association, the Alzheimer's Foundation of America. There is already significant work that's being done in this area. And to see that we're moving in that direction in St. Vincent is a very positive thing. So we look forward to their work, you know, but we have a lot more to cover, and I'm sure we could have spent 2 days just talking about this topic, but we're going to segue to another topic. You know, we're talking about immigrants. The life of an immigrant is not necessarily an easy one. Folks usually will migrate because they're looking for a better life, and usually, and not usually, for many people, when they come, there are some issues that affect them as they are making that adjustment. So let's take our next clip, Alan, and look at some of the issues that directly affect our immigrant community.
Nothing shocks me anymore, not even how dirty and filthy this home is. Betty, I'm so tired talking about it, but if you're not cleaning it, then what choice do I have?
When you sit down to run down, Jesus Christ, how you dangerous, so?
All these old things,
Leave me thing on them, leave them.
All these old things need to be thrown out. This is what my Jamaican friends call chaka chaka. Better you have the goddamn place of chaka chaka.
When I read somewhere, I like to look down on my own family.
I'm not looking down on you. My heart is breaking that you're not elevating yourself. I mean, Betty, you're not even trying at all.
What you know about me? Eh? When your head was tough in your book, and me, been do all the cleaning, the cooking, and the shopping, and me, I take my house slave. Me, look after that till he dead.
Betty, he's your father.
Yours too? You know any other father? Eh? Do you know any other father? Is daddy money will raise you? When my life sacrifice, mommy had to work, took me for your school fee. All she say, Randa go get big lawyer, Randa go swell up my nose. When me, I will take my house slave.
I see what's going on here. Betty, you're jealous of me.
Me ain't jealous?
Yes, you're jealous. You're jealous because I worked. I studied. I am investing my money. What are you doing with your pittance? With your pitiful life, Betty? What are you doing?
Being killer soul.
I can't believe you said that to me. I did what I had to do. I did what I had to do. Betty, I can't believe you would bring this up. You just need to shut up. Shut up.
Don't tell me for shut up, Randa. I tell you already, don't tell me for shut up.
I now understand why your papers were the last to come through. I understand now why Mama left you in St. Vincent with our grandparents. She should have left you there.
Don't say that, Randa. You don't know the suffering I go through without my mother.
You're a drama queen. Suffering? You got river baths. You got fresh food. Sometimes the only hot meal we ate was from the Sisters with Papa's Food Bank. Betty, you need to be thankful.
You don't know, Randa. You don't know.
You need to find a life, Betty. That's what you need to do with yourself.
Yeah.
Well, you're not the brightest bulb in the room. If you were the least bit ambitious, you wouldn't be a 44-year-old baby sucking the life out of our mother. But you know what? You're a lot fool. I'm not.
Oh,
let me stay out.
You think your shit don't stink? You think we don't know? You have to sleep with the white boss in order to get into the position you're into. Where you're going to brag about partner, me ass.
Elizabeth Joseph, enough common sense as you have imagination, I'm telling you, you would have been out of this ghetto. You would have been out of the hood. But you know what? This is what you're contented to do. Stay down.
And you think when I see how you bleed skin? Because you want to fit into this Operation America?
Oh my God, Betty.
What your patchy? Eh?
Betty, don't touch me.
What you have to cover up under all this makeup?
Betty, what are you doing?
Because you're too shame by your skin color your mother give you.
The last time I was over here, you called me Mills dead. I'm not in the mood for you.
I saw you look like Mills dead.
No. You just need to just take these things.
Me ain't touching nothing you bring here, so
you know what?
Go wake up, mommy.
So a lot again here in this film that we just saw. You know, one of the things when you think of immigrants coming to a country, you think of them making, you know, efforts to have a better life, whether that is through education, working hard. There is this term that is used, the immigrant work ethic, where we think that immigrants work harder than anybody else to make sure that they are able to have a better life. And, you know, one can think that all is well once you have left one place and you've come to another country and you've come to the great America and all is well. But one of the things that we also noticed in this particular clip is that those that are left behind are sometimes affected by the migration. Anyone wants to touch on that issue in particular, or any of the issues that were raised that may have resonated with you based on what we just saw?
Okay. Before we go, because I know I know the poor sister would probably get the more empathy, but I just wanted us to look at the success. Look at the success of the Rhonda character, that immigrant with the success story, that even in succeeding against all odds, she said that she had to eat from the food bank. She was in a strange country. Most likely, you know, her parents were working hard. As we know that, if we know the entire play, we would know that the parents had to do the menial work and so forth and sacrifice, because again, the mother would have sacrificed, especially for her being an outside child. She was a child before the marriage. But everything was pushed into her and she made a success story. But even in being successful as an immigrant, you have your family that is basically sucking the life out of you in a sense, and then you have that guilt for living the American dream. You have that guilt because somebody else that you know closely can't seem to get it together, don't have the means to get it together. So still, even as being a successful immigrant, you're still plagued by guilt somewhere along the line. But the opportunities are there. I mean, I just want us to highlight that we can have a success story as an immigrant because the opportunities are there. This whole aspect of the play, from my take as a playwright, is just dealing with, in this case, two sisters, but it could very well be a mother-in-law and a daughter-in-law. It could be, you know, a father and a nephew. The family dynamics is, because you think you made it, I'm going to then project onto you my failures. My failure is because I had to give up something in order for you to make it. And then you make it and you wonder, you know, can I enjoy this success before me when I still owe somebody for this success? I mean, that's what I'm seeing from the clip. How can you really enjoy your success? How could you really live in that truth? You're still plagued because somebody else isn't making it, you know? And that's what I see coming out of this clip.
Anyone else wants to jump in?
Yes, I would like to. You know, when I look at the scene and I hear the both sisters are arguing, and there's so much secret that both sisters carry between one another, like the pregnancy that is not really spoken among the entire group together, but is a whispering. So as it goes back again with the success, is the sister really successful in her life? Because there's so many, dark secrets, sleeping with the boss, giving up a child that she did not want to give up. And you have this other sister who is there taking care of the mom and is not wearing the same shoes like her successful sister, but is being demeaned constantly and put down. You're from the hood, you're not acting. So again, here you see the dysfunction between them and the hurt and the pain that is going on, not because of both of them, but because of the dream of the parents. The parents decided to bring them here to come and get a better life, but both sisters are wounded. That's what I grasp from it here. They're both in pain, cannot enjoy the enjoyment. Because when I look at Rhonda is not enjoying it. She's like always trying to put a bandage onto someone. But deep down inside, there is issues within her that she herself needed therapy. That need to be handled. That's what I grasp from it. Yeah.
Right. And to add to this too, what I see is pain and hurt from both sisters. As Fran said, one who became successful, but there are still baggages, and she feels like she owes somebody. So everything she gets, she feels like, okay, everybody's going to be looking to me for something because I got here on their backs. While the other sister who was left behind, who experienced trauma, who nobody else knew. And so she was triggered by certain things that her sister said. And she's battling certain things. And so what I hear is hurt and pain, and not so much from the parents, but things that they're dealing with that nobody else knows, that Rhonda is projecting or portraying, okay, I'm successful, I've arrived, I've made it, but yet so underneath she's battling certain demons and certain issues that nobody else knows. And one way for her to feel like I have arrived or I'm successful is to show them that I am successful. I give you money. I take care of the family. I do this. And then for Betty, who is saying, okay, you got here, but remember where you're coming from, because I was the house slave. I had to do certain things. I gave up certain things so you could accomplish certain things. And this is what I'm grappling with every day. I was molested because you got to go away. And I was left here because maybe you were the older one. And like Fran said, she was from an outside relationship that was before the marriage. So she might have felt not a part of the family. And so the mom might have done several things to make her feel more fit in. But yes, so Betty was still left behind. And so she's dealing with things. And we find it in society today where, and this is so good that you did this, because people are dealing with certain things and they don't have anybody to speak with. In the Black community and the Caribbean community, many people think, okay, I don't need a therapist. I can deal with this myself. I had a client who said, I can therapy myself, not understanding that there's some rooted things that they need they cannot just deal with on their own. And sometimes it's good to get a professional's opinion or professional help. That thing that happened when you're a child that comes back today. Every time she said, shut up, it triggered something. And so it brought up things that maybe Betty thought that she had dealt with. And we find that even in the church today, we have people who have not dealt with certain things that happened when they were younger. And they're trying to mask it or to cover it and to use success to say, okay, then I've dealt with this, when they haven't dealt with it.
Dr. Bob, anything from you? If not, I think this is a perfect segue into the next clip.
Okay.
All right. So, Alan, let's get the next clip that talks about childhood trauma and mental health. And I think this can consume a considerable amount of our time because there is a lot of trauma in our communities that, a lot of times have gone untreated, undiagnosed, excused away, prayed away, and so many other things in terms of how we have chosen to cope with childhood trauma. So if we can look at that next clip, Alan.
Betty, your child is hurting, and you can't even say a word to comfort her. If you can't say something nice, Betty, you need to shut up! Shut up! Shut up! Shut up! Tired of you? Shut up! That's what he used to tell me when he started to rape me off. Shut up! I said shut up! What's wrong with her? Ever the drama queen. The damn drama queen. Shut up and take it, Betty. Take abuse. Nobody don't know how I just feel. Oh God. I just feel like my head a bust. Oh God. Oh my God, Betty. Betty, who abused you? Betty, who abused you? My mother left me. I was only 10 years old when he started to rip me off. Oh my God, Betty. Betty, my sister. Oh my God. Betty, who did this to you? Nobody don't know what I got through. Oh God. Oh my God, Betty, I'm sorry. Betty. Take off your pants. Oh my God. Lie down on the ground. Oh God, don't tell me shut up. Betty, I'm sorry. Betty, I'm so sorry. Betty, who did this? Betty, you need to tell me. I will take care of this skin stinking business man, Ricky. No, not mom's brother. No, not Uncle Ricky. Night after night, nobody to rescue me. Oh my God, I've been telling wife. Oh God, she didn't believe me. She go back and she tell him. Oh God, Betty. He told me if I tell anybody else, he gonna cut out my tongue. So I took it. Please don't tell me for cut out. Share that. I don't know what's wrong with your generation. You're not sensitive at all. This is violent material. I said don't share that. Sis, I'll ask Joan to come over. Come over. Me don't catch back myself. I'm putting you in a straight jacket. Me ain't taking no shock treatment. It's okay, sis. Come sit down. Sis, I'm gonna tell Grandma. No, don't. Why you? Tell she. So she could talk it and repeat. You don't know how me head bad. And me and sending you to she grave with guilt for leaving me behind. I'm going to. Don't. You have to listen and obey, Ashley. Auntie! Betty, you know Joan is more than a therapist. She is my good friend. You should talk to her. Me ain't know about that. Listen, Betty, You don't have anything to be ashamed of. You are the victim.
Me ashamed? That beast Ricky. When I meet him in the morning, I go meet him in the evening. And then his wife give him 3 pick back.
So there's so much in that clip, you know. We're looking at incest, we're looking at rape, we're looking at the adult manifestation of keeping all of that trauma in. We're seeing the fear of talking to a therapist, you know, because we don't want to be seen as crazy. There's just so much there. I want somebody to delve in deep and bring out some of those issues that were raised there, because there's a lot, and it's a heavy scene.
I think I'll start. As I mentioned, I'm a child and adolescent psychiatrist, and I think one of the major points I want to raise is that this is a real situation. This does happen to people. It happens to girls. It happens to boys. I think one of the things about this particular situation under the immigration story, and what makes some of the kids that are left behind more vulnerable. So if they're just not having a mother, the mothers are often the fiercest advocates, the biggest protectors. So if that mom isn't there, you know, that child can become more vulnerable. And then sometimes people will notice that and prey on that, and take advantage of that. So just wanted to raise that. Some of the other things about what exactly the person was experiencing. Oh, I guess the other piece is, so if anyone does have this situation now, or if there are things that's going on in the house, knowing that, you know, just having open communication with children, letting them know that there is this thing such as sexual abuse, and that they should know that if there's anything, or if there's any concerns, that they should talk about it and let an adult know, have that relationship with the trusted adult. So oftentimes it is the mother, it could be an auntie, it could be somebody at church. If you have those relationships with other people's children, if you are that trusted adult, just working out how to navigate those kinds of things. And then here in the United States, there are safety protective mechanisms of people to call, ways to make sure that the children will be safe, and that there can be a plan. Also, just thinking about what exactly was happening, or what some of those symptoms that we were seeing. So oftentimes when people experience trauma, folks may say, you know, and people have heard of PTSD. So we saw that she was triggered, and by the phrase "shut up," and it just there were things that happened to her body. So we sometimes think about things like re-experiencing. If someone's having some of those things, they can have nightmares, they can have flashbacks, they can have different body sensations. Or even feelings, certain feelings can come back. So she was very able to talk about it. A lot of times with victims of sexual abuse or other types of trauma, they will avoid it by all events. So that is part of the unable to actually talk about it. And that is of one of the symptoms. So there's a technical PTSD kind of symptoms. And then there's what often people will have. So many people who experience trauma may not develop PTSD, but they can have depression, anxiety. Some folks will end up with things like suicidal ideation. So all kinds of the granddaughter, I think it was calling it bipolar, which is a separate diagnosis. But any kinds of stress, it can exacerbate a different kind of underlying condition. So just a couple things I'd want to mention, that if there was someone that does have trauma of some sort and they are experiencing symptoms that's affecting the way that they're functioning, either at the childhood level or even or in the teen level or at the adult level. There are a lot of evidence-based therapies that can assist with this. So, and one of the treatments that I'm thinking offhand is trauma-based cognitive behavioral therapy. Trauma-focused CBT is just one that comes to mind that we worked with, that where lots of the therapists can work with children and families, and I'm sure a lot of the clinicians on the call today could speak more about that. But once again, this is a subject that could be its own complete program.
Certainly. I think one of the things, Dr. Bob, before a lot of people think of getting to the point of therapy, there is a lot of secrecy that exists in a lot of certainly Caribbean and more specifically Vincentian communities, where people are told what happens in the household stays in the household. And so there is a lot that people are afraid to say. How do we get folks to I guess, get that boldness to be able to then step out of this vortex of secrecy that oftentimes envelopes our families and our communities?
Well, I think I would start with just how do I describe it? Because there's a lot of real world ramifications, right? So sometimes you know, in different households, and in the situation here it was the uncle, but sometimes it might be the stepfather or the whoever it is, a breadwinner, and then, or if they live in somebody else's house, and that can have real, or you know, you do involve ACS, and you know, so the children might be taken away while they're doing the investigation. So it can be very, very complicated. But I think a lot of these conversations that we're having, especially when they're done early, because a lot of it could be on the prevention side of if something is starting to look left or right, and having people with their eyes and ears open so that they know not even to start. But I think that, like I said, just having a conversation, being able to talk about these difficult kinds of things. There's certain books that, and you know, we talk about cultural competence books. I know that there are some books for Black children. I don't know if they're particularly with Caribbean, with these kinds of topics that could just specifically to help start with the conversation, just even with the children at the young age. What is abuse? What is, so that if anything ever comes up, or if they recognize it in a friend, that's another big thing that happens, is where a child will tell another child, and then that child will tell their mom.
Mm-hmm.
And then that mother is the person that goes and will help try to navigate. So that's my perspective, but I'm sure the other panelists have some good advice as well.
Sonia, do you want to jump in here based on your practice with working with, you know, DV and, you know, families and children?
You know, when I first saw the scene, I cried. I cried so much because it was something that pushed me away from working directly with kids, just, you know, getting the immediate, you know, information, and I have to call or have to accompany the kids to the doctor. So it brought back a lot of trauma to me. I was traumatized through that, like a second hand, you know, I have to hear the kids share how this, and a lot of our immigrant kids that came into the shelter, like mom came with them, dad brought them up, but dad was the one who was abusing them, and so they have to run to the shelter. And it was so complicated, so much, you know, issue were going on that it had affected my life. So seeing this play, I said to friend, your play is very deep, intense. It's a therapeutic. Yes, it's going to heal, bring healing, but it's going to also open wounds that we were hiding, you know. So when I look at with Betty sharing, that's a good moment for me, that she was able to let loose that demon. because it was something she was carrying around within her for a long time, couldn't face anyone and tell them, you know, even though she said that in her scene while crying, she said, "Oh God, I told the husband, the wife of the uncle, but she did not believe me." And that to me was like when someone stab you, you're reaching out to someone who you think is going to look at the husband and say, "Why are you doing this to your niece?" But she never believed her. But Betty, while Betty was able to tell those who were there, her daughter and her sister, "I was raped." After she got over and she said, "I'm not crazy," but she felt good because I let the monkey out the bag. I'm no longer fooling myself. Then somebody knows what happened to me. So when I start behaving certain way, they can identify why she's doing that. So this scene really, it's good when you talk, and it's good when you can get somebody to talk about it, because you can't give help to someone when you haven't identified what is going on. So this scene is really, really the heart of it. Yes.
Pastor Anika, I know in some instances folks would say, let's pray about it. Let's pray it away. What is your take on this in terms of how do we deal with these issues?
Okay, so some things you can't just pray away. You pray to bring healing. However, and I like that Dr. Bob spoke about it, the issue happening when you're a child and how to prevent it. But then there is another aspect of it after it has happened, and now you're a grown woman, an adult, and you're still dealing with those things. And I think one of the things to let people know is that it wasn't your fault. Because some people grow up with the thing, because they're telling, oh, the men will say, oh, well, you know what, you dress too provocatively, and this is how you looked. And I've heard of mothers who say to the child that it's because of how you dress, why her husband was tempted to molest the child. And so people grow up with this thing thinking, oh, you know what, it was my fault if I had done this, or if I hadn't worn that. So in talking to people especially from a spiritual perspective, and one of the things Betty did was when her sister suggested therapy, and she said, oh, I catch myself now, because nobody's going to put me in a straitjacket. And it goes back to this thing about being labeled, especially people from the Caribbean who thinks, okay, if I see a therapist, if I see a counselor, then it means I am crazy or something is happening. But there are times when we need somebody to talk to, somebody who can help us to see things from another perspective, who can help us to heal. And like Sonia said about having those things that are exposed because we've been covering it for so long. And we wonder, why is this person behaving this way? It's because of trauma that was not dealt with. It's because of broken parts of them, broken places that were not healed. And so it comes out in another area of their lives. And so that thing I wanted to point out, that label. That if they say, oh, you hear voices, you see things, then you're labeled for the rest of your life. Every hospital you go to, they say, oh, you're schizophrenic, or you have this kind of illness or something. And so people stay away. So people are going through things and they shut it down. They keep it bottled up inside. And they're like, I will not get help for this. Not understanding that getting the help right now will help you to get to that place of healing, that place where you see yourself.
Sure.
Thank you. Fran, any thoughts on the scene?
Sorry. I see a question here from Be Live. How do families cope? Can you touch on coping mechanisms outside of institutionalization? Cheryl, I sent this to your phone, so you'll redirect the question. I just want to give my take on this, the incestuous aspects of our culture. Like people would say it's embedded. It's almost like it's just going to happen. You know, in this case, in the play, the mother left Betty in St. Vincent and the Grenadines in the Caribbean because of globalization. Right? Economic reasons. You want to come away so you could build a big house so that your children in the next 10, 20 years, they could have something better. You want to be able to give them an education. Maybe if you stay in your island, whether Jamaica, St. Lucia, or Dominica, St. Vincent, you will never get there working for, the money that you're working for. So you take that chance and you leave that child behind. A lot of times you think you're leaving that child with somebody who would care as much as you care about the child. Now, while you are away, that child is, as Betty said earlier, to go back to Betty when she said that she's a house slave. Sometimes they turn the children into house slaves. Sometimes the child is neglected. Sometimes the child that you leave behind is pressured to do more chores than maybe the actual children who belong to the household. Sometimes they're left unattended. And we already know that maybe these things just happen because, again, we know it's a power. When it comes to sexual abuse, it's because somebody wants to exert power over somebody else, and this is their chance when it's somebody weaker. Now we're dealing with, again, the barrel children. You leave them behind. You leave them behind to give them a better life, but then they're molested. Then they come to meet you wherever you are, United Kingdom, America, Canada, wherever they come to meet you. They're bringing all of that now to your home, which in the case Betty did. She brought all of these things from St. Vincent to the great USA, untreated, and she couldn't go forward. Imagine Betty having a man, a husband, a lover. Imagine the stress that she would be bringing to that relationship. And I know it too clearly in ways that, the simplest thing that somebody says could act as a trigger to go far and just unearth things that you thought were buried. Personally, I remember attending a women's retreat back in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. It was a weekend a week. Before we went to the weekend, it was a Aglo Ministries. I attended the Faith Temple Church, and I as a young Christian, I would go to the Aglo retreats with especially I believe the older ladies. And I saw this gentleman on the street, which is actually a family member. And I was 20-something, in my 20s, about mid-20s. And I never remembered until I saw him on the streets that one day he had me touch him inappropriately. I was about 7, and I would have gone to the mango field. Nobody knew where I was, but I thank God because nothing more except me touching him. But I didn't remember it growing up. I didn't remember it until I saw him that day, and it just triggered it for me. And I remember going to the retreat and putting as the topic, defeating the past. I don't know if there's anybody following the live who were at that retreat, but I remember when I went up and I spoke, and I remember one of the presenters speaking about it, but we had a whole altar with crying ladies who were touched, right? And so it's the entitlement of men and some women these days too, because we're not going to give our brothers all of that. Women also molest children, right? So now it's the entitlement of that person to take advantage of a child. Legally, what is being done? In some cases, parents partner with the predators, right? Because of financial situations. Children are scared to speak because they fear, the parents might be killed. I mean, I looked at documentaries from Jamaica I mean, I know the situation in St. Vincent. I know the situation in different cultures. You know them because you know people who experience these things. And we never grow to be whole. Just let us state this on the record. A human being, man or woman, who was molested never grows to be whole. You know, and one such way that you could become whole, yes, I believe in prayer. I believe in prayer could bring you a peace through your pain, but we really need the forum to be able to boldly speak to our situations without then having that blame the victim syndrome again directed to you. So what, you abuse now twice? You know, we need to give our victims that the understanding, the empathy to just speak. Again, when I wrote the play, I am not a comedy writer, but you know, there was humor in it relating to Betty because she would have been the Caribbean character, but it's so much pain. And as the Dr. Bob said, so much that somebody else could relate to because there's somebody that it's happening to.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to find a way. 4-year-olds, what do they do? How does a 4-year-old come out and say that this is happening? And this is what is happening in the Caribbean right now. Think about a mother who leaves behind a child. How can she really function here in the great America, England, wherever? How can you focus? How can you go to work and be whole? You know, leaving your child behind, knowing that these things are likely, can happen, probably. You yourself as that parent, we need also to have a structure in place for therapy. That's what I see. The person on the live, Cheryl, and I sent you the question.
Yeah,
I might want to explore it.
I saw the question, and I believe that question was related to the segment that we were doing on dementia. I was going to double back to it at the very end. But we have to push through, and I feel as though we're going to have a part 2, part 3, and part 4 of these conversations about these issues that we are raising today, because we're really just kind of touching the surface of these issues. But what is really evident is the power of storytelling, right? And so what you have done and what we are doing today is allowing for voice to be given to issues that oftentimes we don't speak about, the things that need to be fully ventilated, things that people are carrying with them. It's like people have a suitcase of trauma walking around, and it's time to have the immigration officer open it up and start looking to see what's in there so that you could take out those things that you can't take on the plane with you, that essentially you don't need to take with you for the rest of your life. And so, you know, I'm really thankful, Fran, that you did this play in such a serious way and giving us this opportunity to really reflect today on these issues. But as I said, we have to push through. We're going to wrap up soon, but there's one other segment that we want to look at that looks at sexual identity and orientation, which actually is quite a taboo subject in our Caribbean community. But we're going to tackle it in a bit. So Alan, if we can have that clip at this time.
Let's see what Angie is up to, because that girl is the reason we're always
Auntie, your flashlight. Oh.
Don't worry about it.
Can you call?
Hello, Angie? Yes. Is this Angie? Okay. Come upstairs. Just use the back door. Angie, I said come upstairs. It's always a going back and forth with y'all. Going back and forth. Just come right now. Thank you. I can't.
Right there. Go outside. Take you my children.
Letty, I'm not encouraging you. I'm not encouraging you.
You my children only good.
And to sit down and just relax.
My sit here. So. Yo, what's up? And why y'all looking at me like that? It's me. Who me? Angela Joseph, aka Angie. What's up with y'all?
Auntie? Auntie?
The woman Juju walk quick. She cussed the house. No, Angie turn man. Yes, Angela, it's me, Angie. Yo, well, it's Angie till you help me with the legal papers. Then it's gonna be Andrew. Father God, come for your wall. So wait, you're transgendered? Is the voodoo? Bring me some water. The voodoo. Oh my gosh, you always in the house. Wow.
Pour your mom some water, just pour it. Pour her some water. Angie, you could have come to me in confidence for you to show up
Show up like what? Like myself? Yo, let me breathe.
Take off the costume, the man. No, the Halloween. This is not funny.
Seriously.
You can't be serious.
Yo, this right here? Yo, this is the reason why y'all don't know nothing. Yo, just small-minded. Yo, can't deal with y'all.
But you could have spoken to us. Come on, Angie.
Yo, Rhonda, you had enough issues. Especially with your boss after you slept with him and all. I didn't want to bother you.
Oh, come on. You spoke so well. In this greatest nation, you have to sleep with a man in order to get the position you're bragging about? I'm for crying out loud. I told you that I considered it. I didn't work all my life to go and undress for a position. I confided in you. I told you my friend did it. Wow. You need to stop trying to distract us. That's what you're doing.
So wait, you married a man, and now you're transitioning into a man? How does that work? Right. Married a man, yo.
Not better pretend.
What are you talking about?
Not better pretend. The man, if you come a bad pan we and cuss the house, pass me the Bible.
Listen, Rhonda, can you please talk some sense into your sister? Yo, married a man. What are you talking about? Married what man?
We heard. I had to come here and be informed about it. We heard that you married an African man. Of all the men in the world. Let me stop it. And that he was only using you for the green card. And I did in the basement and make a whole heap of noise.
So you're the one that took my business to Rhonda?
No, not me.
If it wasn't you, then who?
Then she drew a house here, you can't hurt.
Uncle? Yeah, it was her. You never tell me that. It's comments. Exactly. Yo, listen. Y'all heard me arguing with no man, right? What you heard was me working on my new voice, trying to get that deep baritone, you know what I'm saying?
I need to go. I need to get out.
Auntie, no. Wait. Hold on. Don't leave. Sit down. You gotta talk.
All right. So yet another very important scene touching on an issue that is very taboo in our community, this whole issue of sexual orientation and identity. And so we see the character, Angie, who is transitioning from being a woman to a man, and her sister Betty saying that it's probably caused by voodoo and asking for the Bible to be able to pray it away. That being said, these are very real issues that are confronting us in our communities now. Younger and younger, we are hearing of children who are self-identifying as one particular gender or the other. But again, this is something that is very taboo in our Caribbean and certainly in our Vincentian community. Anyone wants to take a dive into how do we address these issues in terms of what might be issues around self-discovery and acceptance and societal expectations as it relates to sexual orientation and identity?
Yeah, that's a tough question. I think one of the things too that especially in the whole generational pieces is that even throughout our lifetime, you know, the vocabulary and understanding what different things or terms even mean. So I would suggest, or you know, just there's this whole different level of just educating oneself. So I know in particular, like even in and I guess we'll talk a little bit about just some of the terminology in case people are not aware. So is some of the terms that we use now or that are used is the whole LGBTQ. So lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer. Transgender, I know is something that I had to, at a certain point in my life, even learn what that meant. So in terms of someone's gender, so I'm born female, and my gender identify as female. And so where I was born and what I am are the same. So that's cisgender. So I'm cisgender female. So cis means the same. And this particular person was transgender. So this person was born female, but the gender that they identify is male. So they're different. So that was a transgender male because Angie in this play calls herself Angie, but at this point, if she identifies as male, could call herself Andrew already without any legal paperwork, which she's ultimately going to be, or he rather, is ultimately going to be going to figure out. So I think some of the things is really just understanding some of the basic vocabulary. And then I think also part of it comes down to what can open people's minds sometimes is when they actually meet folks on an individual basis that are of the various letters and understanding who they are, and they can be really fine, fantastic people. And that's one of the things that breaks down bias with regards to whatever it is, if it's race, ethnicity, religion. A lot of times, if you actually know that person and you realize that they're human beings and they have a lot in common with other human beings.
I think that's a really important point because I think, you know, a lot of times in our society, we castigate persons and make, you know, and part of why, you know, the issue is so closeted is because there is such negative terminology that is ascribed. You know, it is seen in a Christian society in some instances as a sin, as a big sin. You know, you would hear people talk about Sodom and Gomorrah. And it being something as an abomination unto God. But you are saying, you know, getting to know people potentially can change a perspective in terms of how we interact with persons who may have different likes or orientations, for the want of a better terminology. And I think that's really important, you know, because I think one of the things that I think that makes this topic so difficult at this time is because there seems to be what some people will term a very heavy agenda that is pushing our societal values in a particular direction. And some people feel as though there are times when their traditional values are not respected. And so there is still a lot of mum on this issue as it relates. But I think what you are saying is really important, that we need to have these open conversations, and we need to talk to people. We need to hear their perspectives and see, how do we humanize everyone's experience? So I don't know if Sonia or Pastor Nika, if you want to jump in on this particular issue.
I worked for 2 years in the LGBTQ homes for boys. It was a home where you come if you wasn't sure of your identity, if you were male or female, and also you wait there, they will come to you, and for those who were thinking of getting the surgery. And I remember coming across a young man from Jamaica, and the age group of this shelter, it's in Brooklyn, it's between from 15 to 21. After 21, they age you out. But I was his caseworker, and folks, he would dress also, dress like a woman, always, have on dress and those things, high heel. And folks will make, will laugh at him. Other guys who were also either gay or wasn't sure, but they were in the home too. And one day he said, my mom did not want a girl. When I was born, when I was born, my mom didn't want a boy, she wanted a girl. So I accepted that, he became a girl because of that. And so I said, well, I have a son, I always want a son. So we became very close. And one day he came in to see me and we were talking, and they had told me, my supervisor said, ask him if he's interested in the surgery. And I said, are you thinking of doing the surgery? I was really shocked of the answer he was going to give to me. He said, no. I'm not sure if I would confess my sins and change my life and serve God. So I don't want to cut off this because I'm hoping one day to have a kid. So I paused for a while because I didn't know where to take it. Should I start witnessing to him or, but I can't do this. I don't want him to go back and say, Miss Morris, help me to make the decision by saying it. So I kept on saying, why you think that? And he began to share with me, he was molested as a child. And because he had been sexually active with men and boys, his desire goes towards that. But he's sure one day that he would change, because within his head, his grandparents have taught him that that behavior is not the right behavior. So sometimes there are people, I accept people for who they are. You come to me, I try not to judge you, and to be telling them, oh, you're going to hell or what's not, but you try to meet, because sometimes there's a reason why that person is now living that life. And so, I said, would you really do it? Because he was out of everybody in the house, he was more of a girl, speak like a girl, act like a girl, cook like, just behave these kinds. He wanted to become really a girl, but there were more behind it. It goes back again to, I don't know what happened to Andrew, why Andrew want to shift. If there is too much girls in the home and she feel, my brother not taking the stand, so I want to become a man. But sometimes people change their gender because of something may have happened. Not all the time, but I'm just saying, sometimes, getting to know them, you will get the really good aspect. However, last week, Sunday, I got a clip from the young man and he got baptized. He said, I no longer practice that behavior. So again, you have to, it is a very thin line when you're dealing when someone come to you and say, I change, or I am not this, I was born that, but I want to be this. Before you start rushing, you have to just, let them unravel the layers of them, or the cause, or the motive, or what causes them to come to this. That's how with me.
Thank you. Pastor Nika?
Okay, right. So I guess as a pastor, I'm going to speak from a spiritual perspective, but I do understand as a social worker as well, and we have to meet the client where they are. And so one thing I try to teach at my local church is that we can't because I find in the churches, especially the Caribbean church, as Carolyn said, that people demonize people, and we say certain things to people and tell people, and instead of showing them the love of Christ and allowing the Holy Spirit to deal with people, that we try to change people ourselves and try to do certain things. But I've come to understand in doing this line of work, people choose life they want to live. We can only encourage people and love people. And based on my morals or my values or my beliefs, I may not agree with your lifestyle, but I'm not going to beat you. I'm not going to turn my back or say, okay, you're this or you're that. That's not my call to make. And all I can do as a pastor and as a therapist or whoever is to say, okay, that if I'll talk with you, figure out, because I've talked with people who said, this is why I do this. And then you realize that it was based on past experiences. But then I'm here thinking, okay, what about the person who was never molested? What about the person who has never experienced certain things? And just be like, I've heard people say, I've prayed not to be gay. I've prayed that this will be taken away. And so I am still at that point where I'm praying and I'm asking God, how do I minister to the LGBTQ community? Give me wisdom to deal with that, because I don't want to push them away. And I find that people in the church, they think that they're showing or expressing the love of God, when instead they're only spewing hate and judgment and pushing people away. And that's not what Christ called us to do. So still praying. I'm still asking the Holy Spirit to lead me. Teach me how to minister to people from the LGBTQ community.
Yeah. And I would just add, just I guess a different perspective. If someone who is LGBTQ and just put out, because as I think Ms. Morris mentioned that, there's a social work hat and the pastoral hat. And then because I wear like the medical hat, I don't often necessarily talk about my spiritual side, because in certain audiences, that's just, you kind of separate the two. But I do have a very, very much spiritual side, and I do love the Lord, and the Lord loves me. And I think that, I know that. I was actually thinking just the other day, Jesus loves the little children, all the children of the world. And we do red and yellow, black and white. But they are precious in his sight. But as far as LGBTQ, I think that the Lord does love every single person. And I don't think that, being born gay or being born bisexual is a sin. So, and there's different denominations, there's different, et cetera. So I'm Episcopalian, and in our religion, so there's the Anglican version, the Episcopalian version, and there's different denominations, and where some would consider it is a sin, and some, because of the leaders in that church, have determined it's not. But that's just, I just wanted to put that out there that I don't, one of the panelists does not think it's a sin if you happen to be LGBTQ. This is how you're born, and God loves you, and that if there are things to work with, that if you look at the statistics on people that have for people in the LGBTQ community, they have the highest rates, particularly in adolescence, of completed suicides, and a lot of it is external as well, right? Because of how they're treated and how they navigate the world. So if we can really or even like that Home for Boys, like people are putting their children out of the house, kicking them out, ostracizing. So, so if we really do, just being mindful, being people of love, compassion, and healing. And then there's this whole, they call it, gender affirming, or even affirming therapy, whoever you are, whatever you are, however you come, and people evolve over time depending on what society they're in. Because right now we see so much of it, and you're like, where was it before? It was there, but people weren't allowed to express it.
Right.
And there was all this undercover stuff that was happening and continues to happen. Whereas if it were a freer, more open society, then people can just do what they want and be safe or healthy in the way that they're doing and not have to live these multiple duplicitous lives.
Just to add into it with the relating it to the Caribbean immigrants, maybe the Asians, you know, people who come from a stricter sense, is that your family member, the family members carry it sometimes as a shame. So that is now where you're ashamed of your different your different you know, family member. And so that it brings, because sometimes our communities in the Caribbean, well, not Jamaica is big, but sometimes our small communities, we're looking to see you travel abroad, what did you become? You know, what did you become? A lot of times we blame things on the fact that you traveled out when we're experiencing the same things locally at home in the Caribbean. But we would look at it as the influences as you travel out, as Dr. Bob said. Now you're free because now there are more people like you. Things have always been there under our noses, but people choose to hide. If he's watching this, somebody who I had read the play when I wrote it, immediately he asked me, "Are you gay?" Because I put the aspect of the transgender situation in the play. I put it because we have to deal with it. You know, we have our second and third generations here, England or wherever, and we now have to deal with it at Thanksgiving, at Christmas, and so forth. You can't kick your family member out because it's your family member. So you now have to exercise, you now have to learn more about it. And as everybody basically said on the panel here, you have to go 1-to-1 with people, the humanity of that person. And you pray according to what you believe and you hope, but you have to love people where they are.
True.
Where they are.
Yeah.
On that.
I think fundamentally what we're saying or what we're concluding is that we have to find ways to foster more understanding and empathetic society that allows people to be people and allows God to be God.
God.
None of us should be a judge of anyone else because, you know, I think there's also a portion of the Bible, and I stand subject to correction if I go off in terms of how I quote it, but let the person without sin cast the first stone, right? And so we all carrying our issues with us. And so fundamentally, our human experience should really be one where we're trying to become better versions of ourselves, whatever that self looks like. And as such, we need to be fostering spaces where people have the opportunities to be understood and where we can understand them as well. And we're showing compassion and we're being empathetic for all of the experiences, particularly for, you know, when we think of what Dr. Bob said with that whole issue of suicide and who is affected most. So many young people, because they are not able to share what they are experiencing, what's going on. There's so much confusion going on within their body. You know, they end up resorting to, you know, taking their lives because they feel no one can understand what I'm going through, or no one would care, or that you would care in a way that would make me feel even worse. So I might as well just call it quits. And so I think this is really important for us to create and curate spaces to have these kinds of dialogues, or to have plays like what you have ventured into, Fran, in terms of really touching on these issues. We've really come to the end of our time. We've actually gone over the time, but I feel as though there is a part 2, a part 3, 4, 5, and 6 that's lined up. And Fran, I don't know if this is also an opportunity for you to branch into several to sequels to this first play, because I just think that there are so many characters that can be developed, so many themes that can be developed some more. And so I really want to thank you, Fran, as one of our cultural creators, for doing this wonderful work, for touching on these issues, and for showing the power of storytelling. Truly, healing begins with truth-telling and unveiling the issues that trouble our communities the most, so that we're able now to take the next steps to access help and healing so that we can grow into our full selves. So I really just want to thank the panelists for joining us today, to thank the audience who came on. I know there is a question that we still have unanswered. I don't know if we want to just quickly double back to that. The question really was with relation to dementia. How do families cope, and can we touch on some coping mechanisms for handling, you know, elderly parents and parents with dementia, or older folks with dementia? I don't know if anyone wants to quickly delve into that, but we're really wrapping up at this point.
Yeah, I would just say a couple things, just some resources. So if you Google the Alzheimer's Association, I believe it's Alzheimer's Association of America, and then it'll have a lot of the different techniques that you can do in terms of how to arrange the house, or reminders, and various things at that level.
Thank you for that. So again, as we wrap up, for any of our panelists, is there any final words that you would like to share? Any burning thoughts, final thoughts that you'd like to share before we call it a wrap?
Yeah, I just want to touch back with, and I know the doctor highlighted about the teens, the home for the teens. Really, around this time, Thanksgiving and Christmas time, that's when the parents, I don't know why, would put them out of the house. And it's a very depressing state for them. A lot of them try to commit suicide because they always feel if mom or dad cannot accept me, then nobody else will. And, you know, I have to say, thank God for these organizations that is set up to help them, you know, because they're saving many, many of our teens' life.
Okay. So I guess I would just like to close on encouraging everyone to have empathy and compassion toward each other. We don't know what the other person has been through, and don't judge, but love. And if we call ourselves people of God and Christians, that is what we should try to express every day. Try to build someone up instead of tearing people down. And seek counsel. If you're going through things, I know some of us think we're strong and we can do this on our own. There is nothing wrong with God plus therapy is dope, somebody said. Yeah, so I mean, seek therapy, speak to somebody. There's nothing wrong with it. You can only be better because of it. Well, if you get a good therapist or somebody who can help you. But that's what I want to leave with the audience today.
Yep, and mine is, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead, Dr. Bob.
Yeah, no, just similar sentiment that there is help. There are people who are happy to speak. And then we heard some elements in the play where there was discussion of ECT or shock therapy, but a lot of it really comes down to that there's different modalities, different ways of help, and that there will be some people that need therapy. There will be some people that need therapy and medication, and that they can do very well. If you've seen some folks who've been very depressed, or they had bipolar disorder and they got their therapy and medication, so that can very much be helpful. And even with ECT, that is an evidence-based therapy that for people with refractory depression, it's only for a fraction of folks, but that is for folks who have intractable, where they very ill, multiple suicide attempts. That is a treatment that can actually help get them better. One of the things we talk about, health disparities, people of color, Black people, Caribbean people. So a lot in America, you know, a lot of times the white people will get the best treatments, the most sophisticated, and people of color, some of it is just not necessarily knowing how to access, or having misconceptions about some of these processes, can sometimes get left out and not get the best evidence-based care and things that can actually help us to get better.
Fran, any parting words from you as our creative person here? You're the reason why we're actually having this discussion today, because of your creative work. Any parting words on your part?
Okay, so again, when I wrote the play, with all the themes that it have, and I know we only touched on 4 themes from it today. The reason was so that there will be sequels, and part 2 of Foreign Base is already written to highlight different areas of the play. I mean, one of it would be dealing now with, you know, marrying, you know, a woman of a different heritage and bringing that to the front. You know, so the reason for so many topics, that was one of the critique that the play got, that it had so much in it. It had so much in it because there was so much there to be said, and with always the intention to go back and do exactly as you said, Cheryl, to write sequels to it. The play is also with the Apollo Theater. I always say, which is, I don't know if I'm being negative, but whether or not they choose to use it in a film, they have already deposited so much in me in terms of guidance. What's the next step? The next step is a short film. The next step is building the play, building it toward a short film, right? But you know, everything takes time, and you don't rush. You know, there's not the rush. So for me, come next year, God's will, Chatelier Productions, we want to present to you part 2 of Foreign Based, which will feature other aspects of the play. Come, you're going to have a good time when you come out. You're going to laugh, but you're going to take away message. You're going to take away a message. Somebody said to me, and she's sitting here on the Zoom, but she didn't raise it, but I just wanted to say it, that she was in a setting where some people who came to see the play, when they went back to their group setting, you know, their discussion was supposed to be, you know, on certain things, but instead it led them to discuss the play. What part of it resonated with them? What part of it that they were so felt such guilt about that their whole session turned into a discussion, and they were able to heal. So is it healing through the arts? Yes, we're healing through the arts. Yes, we're healing through a God-given gift.
Amen.
Every good and perfect gift comes from God. And this is how he wants to use this mind and these hands. These hands, it's to express that and to bring healing in that way. So to him be all glory, all honor, and all praise. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you. Thank you so very much. Again, I want to thank all of the panelists for being with us today. I want to thank Alan, who is in the background doing all of the technical work from Sanssouci Studios. He's doing such wonderful work in the community and always supporting our efforts in the community. And sometimes, you know, these folks get sidelined because you don't see them. But Alan chose to be in his pajamas today. He didn't come on the panel. He didn't want to get dressed up. So he supported us in this technical. But I just want to thank him, and Fran, really thanking you for using your talent and bringing these issues to the fore. I look forward to being an extra when you make your short film. And certainly in looking at part 2 of Foreign Based. Certainly you have done a good work, and I want to encourage you to continue using your talents. And certainly we can see that storytelling and the arts really is powerful in helping us to heal. And the first part of healing is beginning to identify the problems, beginning to speak about the issues, beginning to name and claim our truth, and being able to give voice so that we can, develop the agency to be able to pursue the help that is needed so that we can become whole again. So once again, on behalf of the SVG Diaspora Committee of New York, Chatelier Productions, Inc., and Sans Souci Studios, we thank the audience for being with us. We thank our panelists, and we hope that you will share this event with your family and friends, and you can have conversations in the weeks and months to come as we prepare for the next iteration of Foreign Based. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a wonderful rest of the evening. Alan, you can lead us out with some.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much to the panel. Francesca, all are we, a one.
All the way.
Thank you. Anika, Pastor Anika. Thank you, Dr. Vanessa. Thank you, Sherilyn Mason. Thank you, Sonia Morris. And once again, folks, let me say a big thanks to each and everyone for joining. And coming up, are we Christmas? December 10th, 4 p.m. Friends of Crown Heights, December 10th. Admission will be $25. For more information, you could reach out to myself right here. You can reach out to Fran, Sherilyn. You know how to find us, yeah? And we look forward to seeing you on December 10th. Friends of Crown Heights, 4 p.m. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining. And we hope you have a blessed and productive week. I'll ask the panel to remain on Zoom, okay? Give me a couple minutes. To the folks on YouTube, thank you so much for joining. My Facebook family. Sans Souci will be back soon, all right? I keep promising, you know. Well, I'll be back. I'll do my best. Maybe I'll get some pressure from Fran and Sherilyn at some point. They're gonna say, you better get back out there. Met a young lady last week in church. For the first time, I met her on Facebook during the COVID. And she said, you got us through COVID. And folks, make me want to come back, yeah? But I don't want COVID to come back. Yeah. Facebook, thank you so much for joining. And have a good day and a great week. Be productive. Stay safe. Pray for each other. Love and respect each other. Don't look down on a man unless you're picking him up, all right? Have a good one, Facebook and YouTube.